boom, done. So, let's say in this theory, you have won the bid. Your team's got it. Day one. Now what? Right. Oh, this goes literally into the booking rentals. We just covered all the booking rental stuff, so see repaired, everything's done. So again, right? As soon as you have that, right, you're gonna book with your site. You're gonna make sure that you've got that date locked. Some sites will have you pay upfront, like half of the cost. Right, and we'll need the insurance ASAP. So be advised of that. Some cases, you know, you're pretty set, like with Bot D, right? It's always on the same site, and that we do not have to deal with costs because the girls are absolutely amazing and way too kind to us. Right, it depends on your park. It depends on the location that you're at. It's gonna vary park to park, and depending on the relationships you have with the sites. But when in those cases, you must jump on them quickly, or you'll lose the date. You will absolutely lose the date. No, we've heard horror stories about that before. So after that, right, you've got everything set up. There are some things you as Autocrat might need to acquire. For one thing, a lot of sites you will need to have like the liability insurance and the contract with you on the day of. So having that physical document, you're gonna want to have that in a nice waterproof sleeve thing or whatever. Sometimes you can literally just throw it in a really large Ziploc bag. That has worked. But you're going to want it in a safe location. You might want to even stick it with Troll. You might want to have multiple copies, one on you at all times, one with Troll in the safe lockbox, right? It's going to be dependent. Situations will vary. Other things that you're going to want, you want to have some sort of staff identifiers. This can vary from Autocrat to Autocrat. A lot of us have different methods. There is not one true way to do this. It is a personal preference, but please have something. Right? Look at your Metacrat. If no one knows who your Metacrat is, and there is an emergency with a medical situation, you're in serious trouble. That it needs to be very clear who that person is. If you are the Autocrat and no one knows you're the Autocrat, and something goes down, they don't know who to turn to, right? There's going to be questions for every crat. Guaranteed. Across the board. So it needs to be clear who those individuals are. So here are some options that you have. Headbands, just like we do at Bot D. That's what I do, actually. I have them over there. Big old headband, white giant letters right across, right? You can wear it as a necklace around your waist. You can armband, headband, however you want to wear it, but, you know, good visual markers. You can make tabards. You can make tabards for your crats and have, again, big, bold letters saying what they are. You can make belt favors. The one thing you want is to make sure that they're large enough and bold enough and they're high visibility. Just so it doesn't look like another belt favor on, you know, some people wear like 10 belt favors at a time and you have no idea what it's for. So you want to make sure that it would stand out if worn like that. Some folks have t-shirts. Again, right, you just want to make sure that you have something. You want to make sure that it's high visibility and be careful of the colors that you have. You don't want them to be colors that are going to blend in with things, and you want to make sure that the letters on them are contrast and very clear and bold. So just things like that. Now, other things you might want to have, you know, prep with equipment. Ah, kitties!
Did you have something to add to the conversation?
What did I miss? Tell me, cat. Right.
She said
Good point.
cat. Maybe people should wear fish.
Right. Of course.
Yeah,
Is it?
different colored fish
Of
that are
course,
accessible
right?
to kittens.
No, that's fair. That's a good point. Yeah, no, I'm gonna mark that down. That's add fish. It's good. It's a good, important thing right there. Pro tips. um,
She heard you.
I wrote it down. I got it. Trey, do you agree?
There, look.
Yes. Okay. Trey also agrees.
Fish, right there.
Fish. Look at that. It's done. It's done. Can't be undone. Look at that pen.
Next event I run, I'm making belt favors, different color fish for different crafts.
Different color fish.
Done.
That's it. It's done. Now this is official. It's done. Bliss kittens. Some other things that you might want to, and some other things you might want to have. Signs. Denoting where your ditch field is, your battlefield, parking, tenting, for things that apply like that. If you have a parking lot that isn't directly with your site, right, having arrows pointing to where, which building you're going to or what field you're going to can be really, really helpful. Also, set dressing. If you have bunting, banners, flags, tablecloths, things like that, dress up your feast hall and things like that if you've got those. If you have things that can handle the weather, set those up, right? No reason not to if you got them, right? And again, right, you want to be cautious on anything that you're going to spend on, so that would be kind of the bottom of the list for expenses. When in doubt, be fiscally responsible. And some folks will be more than willing to donate fabric to things like this. I have tons of stash fabric. Most crafters do. If you're looking for specific types and donations, ask for donations first, is what I would say on that. But there's also multiple parks that have, like, park bunting, park, banners and things like that. So look within your park first, find out if these things exist prior. Other than that, oh, yep, go ahead. Do you have anything?
You can check in with households, fighting companies.
Yep.
We all have heraldries, we all have colors and things that we can bring and hang and display, and it adds to the theme, it adds to the appearance.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just to say, hey, this is all of Shadow Moon's equipment on this table, and this is the Praetorian Elite over here, and it's just simple pennants, simple colors. Maybe it's the company battle flag that's hanging off the table, but it adds to that appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I went to Keep the one year, they had this thing set up to where they said that if you have a banner, set it up, right? So the feast hall was just covered in banners all around the edge. So yeah, I brought all of the banners I'd made for, the Principality parks, and we just hung them up where we were like having, where we were sitting and stuff, and it was really cool just to have that amongst all the other, just players and parks and kingdom banners everywhere. It was just really, really neat to see. So,
I was going to say, it was an amazing, so I'm not sure if it's, what is it? Do they do it? It's like Noir Picnic or something like that. Literally everybody who comes, their table, they are responsible for decorating their table. And at the end, there's like a prize for the best decorated table, but you literally get to decorate your own table, bring your own tablecloths, like do it company style, do it like household style. Just be like, I like birds. I'm going to put a whole bird table together and then like put it into your ANS. Like,
oh yeah,
utilize,
oh,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like,
I know Yule's done that a bunch of times. It is a quick and easy way to make sure that, that set dress is taken care of and it doesn't come out of your pocket. You're not the one that has to set it up or take it down, right? And it's a cool thing that, it's a group bonding exercise, right? If you have a company that's all sitting at the same table and, right, it's like, we're going to get all this, who's going to make this, who's going to bring this, right? We should have this, and like, it ends up being a really cool experience. So, right, there's tips and tricks about it that you can go, again, you do not need to be making all of these items yourself. You don't need to be, you know, charging your treasury for all these items, right? There's ways to be fiscally responsible and still get these things done. So 100%, yes, absolutely agree with that. So the only other thing I personally would have on there is having just like a checklist of any items that are being made, anything that has been budgeted for. Have a list for yourself as Autocrat, and just check in to make sure that if there's any deadlines that they're being hit, to make sure that, you know, especially if there's any items that are critical to anything like quest or battle games or things like that, that you're checking in and making sure that they are being produced or collected. So I would add that onto for equipment stuff. So after having go for it.
All right. One more thing, just whatever you choose to not notify. What's the word I'm looking for? How to tell who a crat is, etc.
Right. Yep.
Make 5 or 10 extra, because chances are you're gonna have somebody like me who comes to an event and be like, I'm gonna help with feast. Give them a thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be extra people who have to step in and be like a Metacrat. We've had people step in Metacrat last minute because they're like, look, we have so many people, we now need 5 instead of 3. Please help. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I've had Reeves and I've had security do the exact same thing. They step in and you need something to give them that same signifier that if something goes sideways, someone knows who to run to.
No, that's a fantastic point.
And there should always be a list of all of the crats, all of the medical people, all of everything like that at Troll. As soon as you get into the event, it needs to be there, and your Trollocrat should really be saying, if you have a problem, these are the people you need to go to, especially like medical specifically. So, yeah.
100% agree with that. Right? Because it's fine and great if you've got all those markers on those, you know, folks, but if you don't know to look for them in the first place, right, you're just going to be going around and be like, oh, do you have a headband? Oh, no. Do you have a headband? Who are you? Are you a crat? No? Okay. Like, you need to know to look for those individuals, and then they have the marker on them, right, to clarify. Because, right, you're going to go to events where people don't know who you are. You're going to have even just, you know, folks coming out from different kingdoms, different parks that, you know, have no idea who these players are, or you for that matter. So, right, first, make it very clear who it is, have that at Troll, make that communication be clear, and then be able to have that notable mark on you as well. So, yes.
Last thing you want is for a player to be running around looking for someone wearing a headband saying medic, and it's all belt favors, and they don't know what they're looking for, and they run past 5 medics. So.
Yep. For sure.
If in doubt, for whatever reason, just saying, if that ever happens to you, for whatever reason, at an event, go to Troll. Troll will know who you need to go to.
Yes.
Like, they should. Or else I will be very upset, and if not, find me, if I'm there. Because I'll probably know.
Yep.
Or
and
Jen,
also,
or Darian, or Anne.
Right. If there's also big enough events, right, might have walkie-talkies. So, right, your Troll's gonna have that, so you can be like, I need to talk to the Autocrat, like, right now. And I can't find them, right? I know it's Anne. I don't know where she is, right? Go to the Troll. Hey, Anne, where are you? Somebody's looking for you. Oh, I'm standing by the porta potties. I hope not. This is gross.
My Troll always has a radio to find me. I have a radio, my security, my medic, and Troll always have radios, so if you're ever at one of my events, find one of us and we can find the other 3. Fast and easy.
Yeah, any event that I'm doing where we don't have walkie-talkies, we have all cell phones, and the numbers are with everyone, right? Always charged, you've got a wall plug, right? There has to be a way to get in contact with you. And then for mine, I'm constantly just walking around from crat to crat, position to position, right? Just like in a loop constantly. So that's neither here nor there. So let us move on to the next section, because we are almost an hour and a half in, and we have only covered Autocrat. Now, mind you,
was the breaking? Where we were breaking it up into pieces. How are we doing that?
We're breaking them up between crats.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yep. getting close to the end of this one, are we? No, we're halfway through.
I think that moves us to site. Communication event day.
Yep. We are now on site.
Faye Wellen needs a cigarette break.
There's only like a page and a half left for Autocrat.
Yeah, Faye Wellen, if you wanna,
Cool.
wait.
Well, site is mine, right? So I can't.
Site is Darian. Darian's got that.
Go.
Autocrat
Hey,
side
take
of
it away.
site.
Autocrat site.
I'm gonna.
You're a Cytocrat.
I'm gonna go poison my lungs. I love y'all. I'll be right back.
Back for liability for event day stuff. You have site and communication.
I take responsibility for my lungs.
We love you. We care about you. Okay, Darian, would you like to take over site? And we move on.
Yeah, so after you book your site, you're always going to want to take a walk around it. Things change. The Grills property, as an example, we speak to the Grills. After every bot D, probably the week after, everyone goes and sees Mr. and Mrs. Grills and says, hey, I want to run the event next year, and do I have your permission? Of course, I think they've only said no to like 3 people in the last 10 years. And then once you have their permission, you put in your bid, then you get your yes or no. If you get your yes, you're going to get that. Wolvenfang, we do our bids 6 months in advance. So your bid goes in January. By Frostbite, you find out at the start of February, and then you got 6 months to prepare for Bot D. And what happens is, as soon as the snow's out of there, we get in there and you find trees that have fallen over, trees that have sprung up, base walls that have fallen over, base walls that should fall over, because sometimes trees have fallen into them, and you've got this list of work that wasn't there last year. Last time you saw this base, it was sturdy, solid, and then the tree that was holding up 2 of the walls fell over in a windstorm. Or maybe it was the snow, or maybe a bear, we don't know. So you have to take a walk around. You usually do this with your Cytocrat for something like Bot D, where myself and my Metacrats and my Scurocrats, we know the area, and we know if there's an emergency, we can talk it over just at a table. But if you're going to a site that your Metacrat and your Scurocrat aren't familiar with, and your Cytocrat should go and take a walk through, see what is where, what work needs to happen. If you are renting a hall, it doesn't hurt to go in there with a camera and say, okay, so we're going to be in here tomorrow. Ooh, that light fixture's busted. Let's get a photo of that now before we get in here proper and we're held liable for it. We're going to make sure that the site owner is aware that it's there, and also, if you're borrowing someone's property, you might have to mow the lawn, you might have to reap the grass. The grass at the Bot D field gets about mid-July, it's about 3 feet high. And we have to go in there with specialty equipment to cut it and take it down, and that's a conversation you have to have with your Cytocrat to say, okay, so what work needs to happen, and you lay out a schedule. So by this time you expect to have this done, by this time we expect to have this, by this, by this, by this. And that schedule is really important, because if they start falling behind, maybe life, parents, kids, work, something comes up and they start falling behind. If you and them have an agreement and you know what's supposed to happen next, you can go there yourself, or you can get some people to step in and lend a hand and get everyone back on schedule, so your event happens and we're not ditching in a field of 3 foot tall grass. I know there are some players that would love it. It would make them virtually invisible. That's not fair to the rest of us. It's a tactical advantage that we don't have. But it is a consideration to talk to them and say, all right, so this wall has to be fixed, that has to be fixed. We might not be able to use Eagle's Point. The base is, sorry, I was thinking of a term that's not PG-13.
We're 18 plus now because of Faye Wellen. No.
It's NFG. It's no good. You have to just write it off because there's too much repair work that has to happen. And this is where your budget, you did budget a certain amount, you did say a certain number. Budgets are changeable, but that also might mean you have to change the price per person. So you have to get in there early enough to see what you need to do and get an estimate. If you need 2x4s, if you need 4x4s, if you need paneling, you can also ask around. We have had to do a lot of base repair, and I do have to give it to Skullbath up here. There's a number of times where we've had trouble with a base and we need materials, and he just shows up with a truckload of stuff and he's like, here's what you said you need, and it's done. We reached out to our players and we knew it because we got out in March, April, May-ish, whenever we could, to see what damage was done by the winter. That site walk is extremely important. While you're doing that site walk, it actually gives you a chance to take a look around and finalize your injury evacuation plans. If you have someone who, I think most of the people watching may have been to a Bot D, and you know that those trails by the bases, you're not fitting an ambulance anywhere near those bases. We can get them up to Rowdy Fire, but we can't get them any further back. So you as the Metacrat, you are going to have to get that person from Hut Base, or possibly even further back from Hut Base, to Rowdy Fire. That's your injury evacuation plan, and you as the Metacrat have to figure that out and discuss it with your Autocrat. That's probably going to be a stretcher, but that's also material that you need. Where I was talking about med kits earlier with each of your crats, now you have to factor in a stretcher, crutches, some option to get someone out of a bad situation. I know I've gotten concussions back there, and I was safe enough to walk out. So definite factors to consider. And your Autocrat's going to have to know it, your Securecrat and your Metacrat, because sometimes you can't find the Metacrat because they're out by the parking, and the Securecrat happens to be on site. They might make the decision to get someone out, and they have to know what the injury evacuation plan is. So this is very good to do with those three crats. Talk about it, figure out where you're going to go. I know the campsite that the tornado happened at last year. The tornado warning. There wasn't a tornado. And I know their general evacuation plan. I'm familiar with it because I camp there when I'm not at AmpGuard. And
I know it now.
Those are
being evacuated from that event. Mm-hmm. I know it now.
And that's something that you have to consider, is your general evacuation plan. And when that happens, you might have to go and wake a lot of people up in a lot of tents. So you're going to want all of your security staff, all of your medics, all of your crats to be able to jump in, run together, rattle tents, and go, we got to go. There's a forest fire on its way. There's a tornado on its way. There's a flash flood coming down. Whatever your emergency is, you have to be ready as a group to make that happen. So it's best that the group. Yeah. You, as a group, developing the plan means everyone will be more on the same page than you going in and just this. So take the walk with them. It's a really good experience, and it familiarizes you guys with the site to know what's where, because in a calm mind, you'll remember and you'll think clearly. When someone is yelling because they've cut their leg open on something, you're not going to be thinking clearly. So you have to know this. It has to already be in there. You're not thinking about, where is the bathroom? Oh, I don't remember where the bathroom is. I know where the bathroom is. So you can get them taken care of. That covers each of the general plans, the inclement weather planning with the crats. Actually, speaking to that point, I've run a tavern at Bot D a few years back, and we've had years at Bot D where it was rain Friday, rain Saturday, rain Sunday, and rain Monday. My man-at-arms was able to float his air mattress out of his tent that year. And you have to think about that as the Autocrat, because what happens when you're in the middle of feast, and I keep going to Feywellen for a feast, but Feywellen has made this beautiful feast, and it's currently raining about a gallon a minute all over her feast. She's probably not going to be happy.
Yep.
It happened. It happened.
I
Just
know.
saying,
I
it
know.
happened.
I've seen it happen.
Thank you to all the yellow belts who held down the tent from flying away. I appreciate you, pages.
What you want to do is make sure that there is an option. Do you have an indoor site? Have you rented a tent? Pete's Party Rental here rents the big wedding tents for, I think, $250 for the weekend. For us, great deal. It does bump the site fee up a bit, but at least everyone's dry. And it gives people a place to get out of the sun, too, if it's too warm of a weekend. Inclement weather doesn't mean just cloudy weather or traditionally bad weather. Your layout. This is, once again, your site walk, your layout. Where's your HQ? Where are you going to meet your crats every morning, talk things over, and start your event at? Where's the best place that someone can come find you? Where we were talking earlier that run to troll, that's most of the time that's our HQ. If I have an event where I have my tavern set up, that's my HQ. You'll probably find me there. Your medic station. For most indoor events, there you'll have a side room, you'll have a bathroom or a change room that you can use if there's an emergency to take care of someone's injury. Because injuries don't always happen in publicly in non-private areas of the body. So you might need a place that you can cordon it off and have a medic look at it. Sometimes things happen. Where do you want people to go if they're injured? Big signs help. Like nice big bold medic, troll. Hang them off the side. You can even make them period styled with like the crenellation and all the other, so it looks really good and fits into your theme. Smoking pits. So we have a number of players who have asthma and other reactions to cigarette smoke, pot smoke, and this is kind of goes back to the if the site allows it, are you allowing it? Where are you allowing it? If you're trying to keep it away from people, check your wind direction. Putting your smoking pit right next to the campground where the wind's just going to push it right in, probably not a good idea. You might want to think and move it to the other side where the prevailing wind's going to cut through and carry it away. Or just put it at the opposite end of the field. 19 plus activities, you have to consider that too. Are you allowing drinking on the whole site, part of the site, certain areas of the site? Are you allowing people to carry glass all over the site? Because some people do ditch barefoot. You might want to keep bottles off of the ditch field. Keep them away from where people might be walking barefoot in the morning from their tent to the bathroom and back again. Are you going to provide solo cups is something else, or if you're going to expect the players, make sure that they're aware of that in advance. The last thing you want someone to do is show up with all their stuff with bottles and then find out that, oh, sorry, bottle-free weekend. And then I had mentioned earlier, is there a place for someone to sleep it off? This is where you would pick that where they're going to sleep that off. Is it going to be in the medic tent, or if it's a camping weekend, obviously they have their tents or some space that they can crawl into and sleep. Just as a footnote, though, for camping events, I know some people go to them and they sleep in their cars. If you are drinking, and this goes for the Autocrat and the player themselves, if you are drinking and then you crawl into your car, you can be in the passenger seat, but if you have the keys, you are deemed in control of that vehicle. And I believe this also applies for marijuana. If you are in control of that vehicle and drunk or stoned, you are at fault, period. Even though you're in the passenger seat and the keys are in the back seat, they're still within arm's reach. The ignition is within arm's reach. You can't do that. So as the autocrat, being aware of that, you could find yourself liable because you're allowing that behavior. Make sure that if anyone's going to be drinking, they have a place to sleep that is not their vehicle. So,
Or a place to put their keys.
put them in the lockbox, put them with Troll till the morning. Ask them to do it when they're sober, because if they do it while they're mid-drunk, they might freak out the next morning wondering where their keys went.
Yep, good call.
Drink responsibly, folks. By the way, just side note. Please just don't do things to excess.
Thank you. I probably should have said that already. Please be responsible while you're at an event. But I thought this was a 19 plus stream now, thanks to Faye Welland.
Thanks, Faye Welland.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So think over where do you want things when you walk around your site. If it's a new site, think about how you expect that if there's an emergency, how do you get everyone out? How do you get somebody out? And how do you pass a warning around if a warning comes in? How do you keep people dry, or cold, or warm? And how do you get the site ready to go? Take a walk around and just keep those questions in mind, and you'll be good and safe.
I had one thing to add to that. So a good idea. Again, this is me going. I'm not going to need to do a troll talk because I keep freaking doing it in the middle of everybody else's. Having a map, and also going back to what Amy had said, everything well marked, so everybody, even who comes to the event, can see it. Because it's great if all your crats know where everything is. Everybody who comes on that site should know where everything is too. It's a great idea to invest in maybe some printouts of the site layout, so then you know where everything is, and Troll should definitely know where everything is, and also, yeah, have everything very clearly marked, because that's just a liability safety thing. That's just common sense, right?
Signposts are wonderful things. You might know
Yes,
the site
and
really well. You might know the site really well, just because I know Botd like the back of my hand and I can cut through the forest anywhere. There's going to be someone who comes up from Utah that has never been in that type of forest and finds himself in a completely different corner of the world.
Literally
so many
spent 3
times, I
hours
still
trying to
know
get
it.
through the capture the flag.
Yep.
I've been through that thing 4 times, and each time it took me an hour and a half to find my way out.
Yeah.
I've had to emergency be removed from that woods before, and still have no idea how to get out of it.
I had to go find somebody's keys. They're like, hey, Faye, go in the capture the flag area because we need this person's keys for their car. And they were walking the trails, so it was like a needle, and we were just following each other, and I'm just like calling out, I'm like, person, I need your keys, where are you? And they name out a place, and I'm like, I have no idea where Nirvana is.
I feel like I remember that.
Yes, okay, and then ended up, they were in his tent.
Yeah, I think I remember that happening.
Yeah, because the cars needed to be moved for whatever reason. And I'm like, I'll move your car, you're doing site work, but I couldn't find him. So
I think I specifically remember hearing you yelling and somebody saying, oh, they're at this point. You're like, I don't know where that is. I was just thinking, like, yeah, I don't either. Well, that's terrible advice. Like, it was like...
I'm like, I'm by a tree and a rock. Just come to my voice, dude. Like, I don't know where I am. So, yeah, it's a big site, especially if it's a huge site. Like, when we use Ravens Knoll, they have a map. Even if you told me I'm over at this shrine, I wouldn't know where the hell you were. I'd be like, okay, I can follow a map and it'll take me like 30 minutes, but like, still. Like,
even a small site, Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah.
Or even a small site like the Mount, right? There's multiple buildings, right? Being able to have it clearly, like, right, the Mount website has, a map in it, has all of the buildings numbered and things like that, right? You can print that out right from the website and just be like, we're at this building here, right? This is the field that we're using. This is the parking lot. right? And just to have it very clear, you can even post that on your event page, right? If you have a digital copy of that, right? Like take a screenshot of it or whatever, right? You can post that on your event page so everyone has access to it well before ever, getting to the event.
And even besides like liability and stuff like that, it will make your event run smoother if everybody knows ANS is at tent B. Tent B is here. You need to be here at this time. Everybody knows where it is. Your event's going to go so much smoother. So,
which leads into communication. If there's nothing more on that, we can jump to the next one. Communication. This is so important. There are multiple individuals that you're going to have real good communication with. So first and foremost, your team and your crats. Something I like to do is have an event page. It's like a group, just like a group page where you have all of your crats and any team assistants that are part of those crat teams. Having everybody in one place that you can communicate and talk with all of them, and have, if needed, daily communication, right? It's good to have a headquarters, a place that communication is happening, right? You can do that on Discord, you can do that in all sorts of situations, but there needs to be something set up so that you can have communication. Other than your team and your crats, you're also going to want to make sure that you're keeping in contact with your the local park, the monarchy, and the players. When a monarch says, okay, your bid has won, that should not be the last time they hear about anything up until the date of the event. They need to know that you have things well in hand, that things are progressing, that any liability things are being taken care of, any financial things are being taken care of, because just because you have the bid does not mean that the bid can't be taken from you. If you go up to the event and nothing is done, right? Let's say you're a month out and nothing has been done. The monarchy could say, sorry, but this is no longer your event. And then they would have to, on the spot, try to reconfigure some sort of bid together and run an event themselves. You can't play around with financial things and with liability and legal things, and super unsafe things. You have to take them extraordinarily seriously, and they have to be done punctually. So you want to give them updates as you're going, so that they have the peace of mind that you have things under control, and that things are being done, and they're being done by the letter, and that everything is good to keep on going, so that they do not need to step in. You have to keep in communication with them. Especially if you're using their treasury, using the liability insurance of the principality. Please. Please.
Parks like knowing where their money went, and
yeah.
Principality likes knowing what the insurance is being used for. Sometimes.
Sometimes. So cringy. Sorry. So that, right? Also, be advised, right? Common misconception about all things. You do not need to be voting on a matter to bring up things to an all thing. You can just have general announcements. You can just be on the docket to just give announcements of things, right? So you can, at those meetings, right? Hey everyone, just want to just tell you that we're still on track, that we've got the liability insurance handed in, we've got the site, everything's been paid for, right? The safety plan's all set up, all the crats are moving well, and we're all hitting our deadlines, and we're still in line to put on a great event for you. Reminder that this event is coming up, please attend. Here's all the information on the event page. If you're going, please say that you're going, right? That helps us with feast numbers. If you have dietary restrictions, whatever, right? These are going to be covered in other things. But again, right, you want to have that
Sounds
open
good.
communication. We're just going to do everything right now and just skip half of our class.
So good. I already did troll basically in your talks. You can, it's all good. It's all good.
We tangent really
We had
bad.
a plan.
Sorry.
We have a plan.
Plans though. But right, so that's a good opportunity that you're gonna have a public ear that, you know, usually there's all thing notes posted, right? So that will be posted online for those that aren't there, but it's also a great opportunity to talk with people in person when you have those meetings. So that's always a good opportunity. Other than that, advertise, right? Keep in communication with your park, the surrounding parks, the whole principality, other kingdoms and parks that are in the general vicinity, right? We have Rising Winds, we have Golden Vale, right? Even Crystal Groves could be interested in coming to something, right? There's multiple kingdoms that are around us that are, you know, near the border or whatnot, depending on the location. And there's lots of parks that are like really close, right? You've got, you know, Caradoc Hold. Sorry, Cyrandel. Wow, that's aged me hard. There's Anwin. There's Heronshire. There's so many parks. So don't think that you just have to be focusing, right? And this is, of course, right. This is applying to the Nine Blades. This will vary for other kingdoms, but remember that, right, you have surrounding kingdoms, you have surrounding parks to your own, and that, you know, some folks are willing to take the drive, so give them the information so that they can make that decision for themselves, right? You never know when you might have folks that are interested and willing to come to your events, so long as they know about them. So keep that up.
If I could just add to that.
Absolutely.
Wolvenfang, we're 5 hours from Felfrost, and I believe 3 from Lindengon. Sault Ste. Marie is only about 3 hours from here, and there is actually, I think, a park in Rising Winds in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan that is closer than Felfrost to us. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you might never think of them. They're not part of the Nine Blades, but they're actually closer. So getting on those boards, they might be even more apt to come to an event here for Bot D than some people in Felfrost that are part of our own principality. So hit up the message boards. What costs you 10 seconds?
Yeah.
And you know what? Just add to the all thing note, ask for help. It's a great time to update people, and it's a great time to I know Valor Stand was built at the Bot D. It's one of the bases that was built because the Krat said, hey, so this is what's happening. But, you know, that one base, the old Labyrinth, that's, it might not be usable. And Lord Valiant stepped up and rebuilt the whole base himself. So sometimes just advertise, and some of your problems will just solve themselves.
Yep. Because, I mean, there's also going to be situations, right, where the team itself isn't, you know, filled up yet, right? You have all of your Krats, but your Krats are also going to need teammates, right? There's going to be other things. I don't want to go too far into it so that, you know, we're not literally teaching the whole thing in just Autocrat, right? So, spoilers. But yeah, team leads are going to have teams. So, try to think of Krats as team leads in some cases. But yeah, so, right, again, you're going to be advertising to parks that you may not consider, right? Check out where other parks are. Make sure that you're opening that communication. But also hype hard. You want to make sure folks are going to come to your event, right? Not only more folks will be more enjoyable, right? If a 5-person battle game, you know, opinion-wise, is not quite as fun as a 100-person, you know, battle game, right? The more you have to work with, the more everyone's just going to have more fun. There's more people to hang out with, to do things with, to create teams and whatever the case may be. But, you know, then you have the other side of it financially, right? You might have a stellar event planned, But if no one comes, it's one of those, like, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound kind of, question, right? You might have the most amazing thing prepped, but if no one comes to it, it's not going to be fulfilled. And then the financial aspect, right? There's still lots of parks that don't do fundraising. They don't do auctions, which, again, please do them. They will help you so much. If you are solely relying on the attendance fee and no one comes, you have now taken from your treasury more than you can put back in. Right? Fiscal responsibility. You need to hype. Now, what you can do also, if you have struggles on that, and maybe you're not technologically savvy, you can get like a hype crat even, right? Have somebody that is specifically in charge of making posts, making hype posts, right? And they can, that's spread around too, where it's not just like, hey, so the event, you still coming to the event? Do the event, right? They can give teasers and things just like, oh, here's the next teaser, battle games, right? Here are the previews of what's to come, right? Like, oh, here's a preview for the quest, or a preview for a tournament that's happening, right? And they could be, systematically, like, weekly teaser posts, right? Just like building suspense, building hype, and still bringing the event to your forefront. Where it's not just you're spamming just the event page every week. That's going to get to a point where people are going to just like not read anything because they're just like, oh, I've seen this before. So even if you have new information, right, it needs to look different every time, because if they see it once, they will assume that it's the same thing every time. So if you're updating, putting new information there, and it looks like the first thing that you posted, no one's going to read it. So, pro tip. Yeah. I think that is the majority for the communication bits. So we are.
Do you mind if I just jump in?
Absolutely, go for it.
Don't be afraid to help the next Autocrat. A couple of years back, and by a couple I mean almost like a decade ago, and I think you can still find this video on YouTube. It's called the Battle of Epicosity. We filmed it at 1bot-D, and it wound up being a trailer for Ampguard, Ontario, and the Northern Empire, and the Nine Blades at the time. And it was also part of the advertising campaign of the following bot-D. Because one Autocrat said, okay, I'll set aside time so that you can do this, and then this video was just used for the next bot-D, regardless of who got it. And it drummed up more people coming because they watched this huge battle happen on the trail, in the tall grass of the swamp between Rowdy Fire and the bush line near Eagles Point. It was just a beautiful battle sequence. Google it, Battle of Epicosity on YouTube. It may still be there. If not, I have a copy of it. Awesome. But if you set that up for the next Autocrat, they might set something up for you in the future. And this is how you make a bigger event every time, every year. And it doesn't have to be something with cameras and filming, and maybe it's just photography work. Maybe it's just making a banner for Battle of the Dens, and don't put the number on it, so the next Autocrat can just take that and hang it. And it saves them money. It's still going to cost you the same either way you do this. But it saves money next year, and it'll save money the year after, and the year after that, to build that in. So, and the next Autocrat will thank you.
I was going to say, in addition to that, don't be afraid to ask the previous year Autocrat of the same event, what went wrong with your event? Yeah. So then it doesn't go wrong with your event, because it's a possibility that they didn't think that they might need to share this information. Ask them, what went well, what didn't go well? So then you can use it for your event.
Oh yeah.
We'll probably cover. Sure. We'll probably cover it in post-event, but I think every event, or at least most of my events, that something didn't go right, we've had a debrief afterwards where all the crats came back together and went, okay, that got away from us. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? And what do we have to do better for next time? And you make plans. That's how you learn. Nobody was born perfect. You figure out what you did wrong, and fix it for next time.
You learn more from your mistakes than you do by your successes. Because it also prompts you to do something better, right? It prompts you to find out more solutions and more approaches to do things. But yes, also, right, look at us. We are all experienced autocrats and crats of other positions, right? We are here today sharing this information, hoping that, you know, future autocrats and future event runners and crats can learn from our experiences and our mistakes and our successes alike, then so that they don't have to go in with a clean slate and try to figure all of this out themselves the first time they ever do it. And so that there's some very little common things that, you know, just a heads up on this or that can save somebody so much time, so much hassle, and at some extremes, the event. There are little things that go a very long way, and some things that seem small but can tank an event. So it is important to pass the knowledge when you have it, and to have that communication, right? Try to be available to folks, especially for first-time autocrats. Please be willing to share what you know, because they're going to need help. They're not going to know all of this instinctually, right? I mean, we're almost 2 hours in, and yeah, right? We're almost 2 hours into
link
this.
to this video.
Right? Send a link to this video, please. Right? This is all of the information that we have said so far and are going to say. This is compiled over years of us doing this. This is not something you would know from your first time ever running an event. You're not going to know all of this, right? Unless you ask. Unless you watch this video. Hype, see? Hype. We're hyping our own video while we're making it. This is some crazy meta moment. Come watch this video.
Also, ask questions.
Yes, ask questions.
Ask questions. Because there
Never
might be
be
something
ashamed to ask.
Yeah. There are no stupid questions.
There are no stupid questions. Absolutely. Like, that's the biggest thing too. A lot of folks will not ask questions because they are ashamed. They're afraid of somebody going, oh, if I ask this, it makes it seem like I don't know what I'm doing, and they're not gonna have faith in me doing this event. They will give you more credit for going out of your way to find out whatever you can, right? It is important. It is important to ask questions, and it's important to have the insight of yourself, right? Self-communication. You know what your strengths and weaknesses are. If you don't, analyze it. Like, write them out. Completely write them out. Go, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is what I am not good at. For the things that apply to events that you need to be doing, knowing what you need to delegate is going to be extremely important. Communicating with those individuals that you are delegating with is going to be very important. So communication is key for all of this. All of this. This all tanks if there is a break in communication. I'm going to be going more into this for the leadership section, which is one thing down. So if anyone has any other things, please go for it now. But other than that, we'll get into the event day and the liability, which I believe is Lisa's category. But we'll go into more when we get to the leadership section. Sorry, no, I'm so sorry.
If anyone's afraid of asking questions, remember, questions are the root of knowledge. And second of all, if I'm looking for staff at an event and you ask the question here, that tells me that when that event comes, I know you know that fact. You know that information. That's not a weakness. That's not a fault. That's an assurance to me that if I have to grab a crat at the last minute, if I need you as staff at the last minute, and you're like, hey, I'm available, I know that you know this might only be one little thing. Might be a dozen things. Depends on how many questions you've asked me. I know you know that, and that's something that helps me and helps me pick my staff. That's a good thing in my book. Ask away.
Absolutely. Just to tag off of that, right? I completely agree. that means that, right, we know that you know this, but it also means that we know that you are a communicator, that you will ask if you don't know, right? Just guessing and hope that you're not wrong or doing something catastrophically, wrong, that you will communicate with me and ask and find out, right? That you're not going to just be like, I don't know, I'm just going to guess and try this and hope no one knows because I'm super ashamed to let them know that I don't know, right? Being open and communicating and asking those questions means that you'll ask farther down the line. And for an autocrat, yeah, that's only going to help you. That's going to want us on our team, for sure. So, great
Agreed.
input. Yeah, super solid.